everybody! I'm here today to talk to you about hitting the curb when parallel parking. And I will specifically be showing you and telling you how to avoid it. That's right. A lot of people, when it comes to parallel parking, their biggest struggle is that they hit the curb. And there are things that you can do to avoid it. I'm going to go over 3 specific things. There are many things that you can do, but I feel like these 3 are the easiest to utilize. So I'll be going over these 3 specific things and showing you exactly how to avoid hitting the curb on parallel parking. Let's get right into it. The first one, this is by far the easiest one, and that is to start further away from the curb. Now, in most cases, this is actually going to solve the problem. So you just want to start further away from the curb. If your parallel parking process is correct, but you just keep hitting the curb, it could be that you're just starting too close to the curb. And if the movements of the steering wheel are perfect, you could just be starting too close to the curb, and that's going to cause you to hit the curb. If you start further away, you're going to end further away. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I was parallel parking up here. And I'm not actually going to parallel park because there's like no cars on the street. But I pulled over and I parallel parked and I hit the curb. Okay, no problem. I'm going to go back to where I started originally. And then I'm going to move a little bit to the side and try on a different car. So now I moved a little bit further away from the curb. And I would now try with a different car. So I'd go ahead, put the car in reverse. Do my parallel parking procedure. Very simple and straightforward. Okay? There's no car here, but I'm going to pretend that I'm parallel parking. All right? All right, boom, and I didn't hit the curb. So I started further away, and I'm going to end further away. So if you're just barely hitting the curb and your steering is all perfect, then that's definitely the solution for you, okay? Now, the second thing that you can do to avoid hitting the curb when parallel parking is turn less sharply towards the curb, okay? Now, like I said, it depends on the method that you're using, because most of the time, it's going to require you to turn all the way towards the curb. So most methods, I'll just demonstrate right now. There's nobody on the street for the most part, so we shouldn't be interfering with any traffic. Most methods are going to require you to turn completely towards the curb. So I'll put it in reverse, and in most methods, they're going to say, turn all the way towards the curb. But if you have a problem with hitting the curb, what you can do is, instead of turning all the way towards the curb, just turn a little bit less, okay? And then parallel park. So I'm turning just a little bit less, okay? Very simple, Alrighty, just like that. So you're going to turn a little bit less. That's another method. Now, the only thing is that basically when you're doing that first part, it might affect your pattern when you're parallel parking. It might affect, your entire method for parallel parking. So you might have to make up for it when you turn back the other way. It all depends. But that is one way. Instead of turning all the way towards the curb, if you have a problem with hitting the curb, maybe this will work for you. It works for a small percentage of people that have this problem. Just turn the wheel a little bit less. So instead of going all the way towards the curb, you're going to turn it a little bit less. Just steer back just the slightest bit. And that works with some people that have the problem because their turning is different than where they're starting, okay? And it works sometimes, so give it a shot. Always be mindful, though, that it's going to affect your positioning, so look at the cars. You don't want to hit a car just to try and avoid hitting the curb. I'd rather you hit the curb than hit a car, right? So at the end of the day, you got to still pay attention to the cars. Now, the third method for trying to avoid hitting the curb on parallel parking is turn the wheel back a bit earlier. So I'm going to give you another example. Let's move up here. Okay, so let's say I was going to parallel park over here, okay? So, I pull up, okay, I put the car in reverse, I turn all the way towards the curb, like regular, okay? So I'm not touching the first part of it, okay? Then, straighten the wheel out. This is the most common method. Straighten the wheel out. And then if I was going to continue going back and then turn the wheel, instead of like for instance, if I was going to continue going back and then turn the wheel, I'm just going to move forward again, I would not continue moving back. I would just turn back a little bit earlier. So I'm now turning back a little bit earlier, okay? Now what that does is, if you're going longer in a straight line before you turn back, that means you're actually going to move towards the curb. I'll demonstrate one more time because it's hard for me to explain without demonstrating. So let's say I'm going to parallel park, okay, turn the wheel all the way, okay, straighten the wheel out. Now that the wheel is straight, I'm actually going towards the curb, okay? When I turn the wheel back, that's when I start steering away from the curb, basically. So basically, the earlier that I turn the wheel back, the earlier that I'll straighten it out and go away from the curb, and the less I'll move towards the curb. Because if I turn the wheel back earlier, I'm moving towards the curb for not as long, okay? Very simple and straightforward. So with that being said, when you turn the wheel back earlier, you're putting your car more at risk for scraping the car in front of you. And that's part of something that you have to pay attention to. You are actually increasing the likelihood that you're going to scrape the car in front of you. I'm just going to pull over to the side here because now there's a couple cars coming here. I'm actually heading to the dentist right now. So I'm just doing this before I go and get a cavity filling, unfortunately. So maybe in the next video you're going to hear me all blah, 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 because my mouth is going to be numb and I'm probably going to want to film a video on the way home. Anyways, it depends on when I schedule these, in what order. But anyways, essentially, when you do this, when you turn back earlier than usual, you are increasing the likelihood that you're going to actually hit that car in front of you or scrape that car in front of you. So be mindful of that. This might be the solution, but you got to pay attention to that car in front of you. You don't want to scrape it, whatever you do. And that's basically it. In this video, I've gone over the basics of hitting the curb when parallel parking, and I've shown you how to avoid it with 3 different simple methods that you can try out. Like I said, be mindful of the cars that you're working around. If you're hitting the curb, that's fine, you can correct it, but I don't want you to hit a car when you're trying to avoid hitting the curb. So, not hitting the cars and pedestrians is your primary priority, of course. And that's it. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.